The highly anticipated Mandalorian arrived on Disney Plus, a very imaginatively named streaming service which is going to go head-to-head with the big juggernaut guys like Netflix and Amazon Prime. So a lot of people were expecting a Star Wars, of course. They know that Star Wars is going to be pumped because that's where all the money is. So The Mandalorian is kind of a sure hit, of course. I think that is going to be the case. No matter what The Mandalorian does, I think people will love it. And that's great. I'm glad that people will be happy out there. Personally, I'm a little disappointed with it, to be honest with you. And before you start, sharpening your knives, let me explain, okay? So yes, 110 million. It stars Pedro Pascal, and I think it does anyway, because we haven't seen his face so far. We just hear his voice, and it's not much. Trust me, there's very little dialogue from him. So yes, the first episode I do have issues with, and the second as well. But let's talk about the nice things, shall we? The nice things. It is beautiful to look at. It really is absolutely stunning. You can see a lot of money has gone into the CGI, very believable, and it really is not. It's nice. It's not shiny like those the three last movies of George Lucas with Jar Jar Binks kind of story. It actually looks nice. It's got beautiful colors, and yeah, the world building is really great. And when I say world building, they definitely are drawing on the nostalgia here, because in the first episode, it kind of starts on what looks like a planet Hoth almost. And yeah, I mean, all the sort of creatures that you see in the bars, for example, they're there. And even to the point of ad nauseum, to be honest with you. I mean, it's so shoehorned in a lot of these things that it's just a little bit much. It's like, come on, guys. You haven't seen some of these things in the last 3 movies that have been out, but now suddenly you've got those little walking square things, and yeah, it just felt like it was being pushed in there so that, people would go completely batshit, and then, well, they are kind of going batshit, aren't they? Anyway, so the story basically is the Mandalorian is given a charge. Apparently there has been a 50-year sort of chit, if you want to call it that, on a planet, and he's gone there to try and either A, kill the thing, or B, bring it back, with more of a sort of leaning towards bring it back alive. So that's where I'm kind of confused about in the first place, but we'll get to why that confusion is there. So yeah, number one, the Mandalorian. What is he like as a guy? Well, he was described as kind of being like a Clint Eastwood, I suppose. Not quite, but I can see kind of in that he is morally ambiguous, and I hate to say it, but he doesn't seem to be morally ambiguous. He's a bit of a dick. Examples, you might wonder. Well, the first examples are in the first opening minutes of the first episode. He's in a bar trying to get a bounty, and of course, the whole who shot first happens. And instead of just, shooting people down, which is what you would expect from a bounty hunter, he kind of goes a little bit too far, almost relishes the way he murders people. For example, getting one stuck in a door portal that, closes and cuts the guy in half. Dead. Why don't you just shoot him? He literally went out of his way with a grappling hook on the guy's leg to pull him into the doorway to do that to him. What? 2, he seems to be a kind of racist towards the droids. I mean, he refuses to get into one of the taxis in the first episode because it has a droid in it. That's not very nice. Imagine saying it to somebody, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get in your car because, you're Asian or something like that. It's a dick move. 3, at the end of the first episode, after actually being helped and saved in many ways by a droid, he blows its frigging head off to do what basically it was going to do what he was supposed to do, as in kill what they found. And as I said, spoilers in this, and of course what they found was Yoda, baby Yoda, who's been here for 50 years, yet is still what looks like 6 months old. Now, I'm not going to even claim to know how Yoda ages, but I'm pretty goddamn sure that if 50 years is the equivalent of 6 months, or at least even say a year, be generous, does he live to 5,000 years if I live to 100? If you're looking at sort of scales like that, that doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, maybe I missed something, probably did. Back to episode 2. So, episode 2 is 30 minutes long. $110 million is spent, and the best they can come up was a 30-minute long, basically series of montages and scenes that look like they kind of were video game scenes. That was one of the problems I had with the first episode too, is that it looks very video gamey as moving from one transition to another. And the tonal shift as well when he meets Nick Nolte's character, I forget the name of the character, in episode 1 is also really disconcerting. It goes from being quite a serious thing to him trying to ride an animal. Basically becomes like a horse whisperer on a different planet for these 2-legged creatures. Very strange to see that. That was a really odd shift. Second episode again, nothing actually happens in the second episode. His aircraft is basically stripped for parts by Jawas, which he then proceeds to completely massacre. I don't remember seeing in many of the movies people literally being disintegrated by what I suppose is supposed to be the hero, or anti-hero in this case, of course. But yes, he goes on a rampage because he's had his ship has been dismantled. I'd be pretty pissed off if my car was dismantled. Not sure I'd just go out and murder a whole bunch of, I don't know, really short little hobbit-sized things because of that, though. But it looks cool. Yeah, and also one thing that actually did look pretty cool was him trying to climb into their fortress, sort of rolling tank fortress thing, that she didn't actually get in, unfortunately. But hey, in the process, he managed to vaporize and throw a couple of these Jawas to their deaths. And then suddenly, the next scene, he's trading with them. Yeah, and then the next scene, he's killing what looks like a rhino, I suppose? A mudhorn, I think they called it, because she's protecting her egg. Dick move, dude. Dick move. So yeah, I have a bit of an issue with the guy so far because so far not much of what he does has been really nice. I do like Yoda, baby Yoda. You're very, very cute. I want to scream at you. He does kind of look like the cat though from that woman screaming at cat meme. I'll stick it up on the screen over here, and it's me screaming at him because I'm screaming at him because you just know how much money they're going to make from this fucking toy. The merchandising on this is going to be through the roof. Anyway, he's quite cool in this. There's a scene where the Mandalorian is trying to fix himself, and Yoda basically is trying to lend a hand. He's like, shush, get back in your cot, as it were. And of course, the last moment where he uses his force powers to stop the creature, which is then brutally murdered. I really am wondering about the goddamn sort of tone of this series. But anyway, I'm hoping that the next couple of episodes will A, be a lot longer, and B, offer a bit more insight into the character that we want to love. Because right now, all I know is that his family may have been massacred as a kid. In the first episode, there's a sort of montage. There's always montages. And, a camera is sort of zooming in on his helmet. The armor is pretty shit too, to be honest with you, except for the one piece he puts on here in the helmet. Not that impressed, to be honest with you. But anyway, I'm sure it's going to get better as he upgrades, and especially after the second episode where he was basically torn to pieces. So yeah, I'm not going to give this a mark because I think I need to see more. An hour for 2 episodes is very short for me, or just over an hour. And you can't really draw any sort of conclusions from this, except for the fact that episode 2, not much happens in it. Anyway, I'm going to carry on watching it. I had to pay for a VPN basically because in England we only get access to this from the 3rd of March next year. 3rd of March? Somewhere around there. Anyway, I'll probably be buying the Disney just so I can make videos like this and complain about them. Catch you guys later.